want for tomorrow. Today it must be done. Imagine everyone laughing. No more sound of the gun. No more fences or borders. Peace for everyone. Imagine all the people living without fear. Oh, you may say I'm a dreamer. You know that's nothing new. Will you walk beside me and see what we can do together? Together, yeah, yeah. Together, together.
Good morning, everyone. Let's hear another thank you for Bill. My name is Kathy Folsom, and on behalf of the board, it's my pleasure to welcome each and every one of you here this morning to the Unitarian Universalist congregation of the Swananoa Valley. I would invite you now to please turn off cell phones and other noisemakers that will really be very helpful. At its best, Unitarian Universalism is a religion of people who covenant to treat each other well, to care for the earth, live and stand up for the democratic process, and protect the beautiful tapestry of cultures and communities that make up the people of the world. Love is the core value from which we build. If you're new to Unitarian Universalism, I encourage you to take note of our mission statement, which is printed on the front of our order of service, and the 8 principles that guide our actions that are printed on the back. At this point, it's our practice to welcome those of you who may be visiting for the first or second time, or those of you who may have been away for a while and may be back with us today. If you would like to stand, if you're willing and able, we would appreciate that so that we can get to know you better. And like I did last time, I'm left-handed, so I'm going to start over here. Okay, anybody on this side? First or second time visitor or been away for a while? All right, can you stand and share who you are?
I'm Gwen, and I've lived in Black Mountain for over 20 years.
Woohoo!
This is my second visit. I came last week and heard Forest Rivers talk with me. So I'm back again to
Yay!
Great.
Hey, Joe.
My name is Joe Beckham. I'm living in East Asheville currently, and I came to Asheville about 4 years ago, although I've visited many times over the years. I once at one time worked for the North Carolina Outward Bound School, and I'm retired and looking forward to the service today. I've heard a lot about your ministry.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah. Anyone else on this side? Moving on over. Anybody over here? I know we have some people over here. Yeah, look. I met you in the portico. Great.
Hi, we're the Mayer family visiting from Charlotte. We are members of the UU community of Charlotte.
Agreed.
And we stayed with Ken and Sue for the weekend.
Fantastic.
Welcome.
Fantastic. Welcome. Welcome. Anyone else on this side? Yes.
Hi, my name is John Christensen. I'm here with my wife Julie. We're actually members here. We've been members a couple years, but we've been gone most of the last year. Traveling abroad, so we missed the hurricane, we missed the election. So there's some traumatic events. I know. So I'm sorry that we missed that with you. But we're back, and we're really happy to be back. And we live over in Waynesville, and we look forward to reacquainting ourselves with you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else on this side?
I'm back. I was gone for last week's service, and I missed you all so much. But I'm back.
We missed you too, Mary. Thank you. And we are truly happy that you're here. We hope you'll stay for coffee hour after the service so that we can greet you and get to know you a little bit. And if you're interested in knowing more about us and receiving our weekly newsletter, I invite you to fill out one of the orange cards that look like this. They're in the back of the pews and out on the table in the foyer. And you can just place it in the collection plate or out in the foyer at the end of the service. We also have volunteers from our membership committee with orange and green name tags who will gladly answer any questions you might have. And you might like to hold your name tags up. Where are you? All right. There they are. Very good. Now, it's our practice to read our land acknowledgement statement. And so I'd invite you to turn to the back of our service and read it together. So it's on the back of your order of service. It's in a box in the top right-hand corner. UCSB acknowledges with respect that the land we are on today is the ancestral home of the Cherokee and of other indigenous peoples. The Cherokee, through stewardship, understanding, and conservation, survive and thrive in this land. We acknowledge their enduring connection to their homeland. Thank you. Now, Michael, I'm going to have to ask your forgiveness for this one, okay? Thank you to the Building and Grounds Committee for their inherent earth and digging. This morning, I'd like you to take a look around our lovely grounds. As spring brings us new hope and energy, yesterday, many members of our community, led by Catherine, Kate, Walt, and Deb, spent the morning loving this space into greater beauty. So before you leave today, if you didn't have time on the way in, I would like for you to just appreciate all of the love that has been massaged into the earth. And so if you join me in thanking them, I would appreciate it. Announcements. We do have announcements, so hang tight. Announcements about the happening in our congregation and community at large are posted in our weekly newsletter, The Current, and also posted on the bulletin board in the foyer. A couple of special announcements. This one's very special. They're all very special. Our church community is seeking several new board members. There's a green sign-up sheet for those interested in becoming board members, and the folder is located on top of the foyer table right across from the kitchen out in the foyer. And so we are looking for a couple of really wonderful human beings to add to our board. And these need to be filed or given to us no later than mid-May to June. And now I get to put on my auction hat. It's auction time. There was and is and will be a table in the portico after the service for the next few Sundays, staffed by helpful humans wearing really cute name tags that talk about our auction. And if you have one of those name tags on, you can show that around. They can answer your questions, assist you with the online donation form, or provide you with a paper form. We're seeking food donations for our gala, and there's a sign-up sheet for that available on the auction table today. This is our largest fundraiser, and we hope to plan to attend and invite a neighbor or friend to join you. Wilson Farm Garden Tour. The Social Action Committee is coordinating a tour of the farm at Warren Wilson College. 2 students will be our tour guides, explaining how Warren Wilson went into action following Hurricane Helene and ending with a demonstration of how to make a natural salve. The tour will be on April 22nd on Earth Day from 11 to 12:15 p.m. and there is a limit of 15 people for the event. There's a sign up in the portico and transportation info will be sent to those who sign up. So, no more announcements. Let our service begin.
Good morning. I wanted to remind you that today is the UU 101 class at 12:30. We'll be here about 45 minutes or so. And don't forget to bring a flower next week for Easter for our flower communion. I know Michael has put it in the current, but I just didn't want you to forget. I have a brief statement of opening words. This is from a Hasidic prayer, which says, I am afraid of things that cannot harm me, and I know it. I yearn for things that cannot help me, and I know it. What I fear is within me, and within me also is what I seek. Please stand as you are willing and able, and join in our opening hymn this morning, number 42, Morning So Fair to See. Our responsive is 594 in the back of the gray hymnal. Let's read this response. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person.
We believe that each and every person is important.
We affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations.
We believe that all people should be treated fairly.
We affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth.
We believe that our churches are places where all people are accepted and where we keep on learning together.
Actually, we include non-human in that as well. We affirm and promote a free and responsible search for truth and meaning.
We believe that each person must be free to search for what is true and right in life.
We affirm and promote the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process.
We believe that all people should have a voice and a vote about the things which concern them.
We affirm and promote the goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all.
We believe that we should work for a peaceful, fair, and free world.
One more what? I've closed the book. Will you read it? Because I don't see it here.
Oh, there is one more.
We affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part.
We believe that we should care for our planet Earth.
Hi, it's second Sunday when we always have special musical performers, and today we have Bill Altor. Bill has been attending UUCSB for 19 years now. He shares his retired life with Sue, where they live in Swannanoa. He plays music, writes and sings songs, and walks in the woods a lot. For him, it is time to seek greater peace and understanding in life, much of which includes relationships with friends and family.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Linda. There you are. It sure is nice to look out at you all. People I'm friendly and familiar with. You may have seen the title of this song, and don't let the G word scare any of you, okay? Just ignore the concept of it that might scare you, and just think of that G as someone you know and love and trust as a dear friend instead. And God said, there's 3 verses in this song. Each verse has a half of a person talking to God, and each verse has feedback. God responding, all inside my silly little head and heart. He prayed to God to bring peace to all the nations of the world. No exceptions, no pretensions. Please make it happen right now. And you have all the power within you, a universe at your command. Won't you please just fix it? We have done all that we can. And God said, many of you think I'm so far away, but I am with you where you are. People blame me for everything, cry themselves a river of tears. And you have my power within you. It's been there from the start. Time to raise your frequency, synchronize it with the Synchronize it with your heart. She cried to God in her anger, why do you let this shit happen? You could have saved all those people, stopped it before it began. And where are you now when we need you? Everything is out of control. Time for an intervention. Isn't that the cosmic plan? And God said, you are so mistaken. Love is not a one-way street. Part of me lives inside of you, torn between your power and your fear. And I have all the mercy you can handle, but first you have to do your part. Time to come out of the shadows, realize what keeps us apart. Well, what about the 77 virgins and all that water turned to wine? What about the crucifixion? You say you gave your life for mine. And if you say I have your power, then why is it so hard to figure out? Everyone has an opinion, still I am filled with doubt. And God said, some of you live in such darkness, a black widow poisons your heart. Some of you will believe anything, it's more like imaginary art. And what is the root of your anger? Can you trace it down to your fear? Are you brave enough to go there? Well, you must if you want to get clear. Go ahead. A little slow.
So, this is the time in the service. That was a beautiful song. Wasn't it? Why don't you give him some more? So, as I was saying, this is the time in the service when we invite you to come up and share a joy, a concern. And the elements are there, as usual, the water, the fire, and the stones. And the floor is now yours. do this first before I forget. We have a joy. We have someone who just turned 90 years old, Shelley. So we want to sing
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Shelley. Happy birthday to you.
Where I say, bless your heart.
Only if you mean it, Shelley. This stone, oh, does anyone need me to bring the stones to them? Okay, this stone is for any one of you who, for whatever reason, decided not to come out. Bless your heart. We keep you in our thoughts and prayers. So, we will have this time of meditation. I invite you to still yourself as you see fit, and we will have our time of quiet afterwards. Again, I go to the wisdom of Brother Richard Gilbert. This is called the still center that nothing can disturb. Let us enter that still center nothing can disturb. About us may swirl currents of confusion. We may be engulfed in waves of trouble. In our ears may pound hurtful words, but within us, nevertheless, there is a spirit of peace. Our days take us into the conflicts of humanity, the controversies that separate and divide, the wounds of the spirit that cut us to the quick. But deep down, in the heart of us, there remains a core of calmness. There are some days that are simply too much with us. They demand almost more than we are able to give. They force us back on reserves we never knew we had. Many are the temptations to yield to the crudity of language and behavior. Our resolve to withstand the evils of our time seems to be near the breaking point. The demands of others overwhelm our very real desire to help. The requirements of our life seem much too strict. We wonder if we should walk a less demanding road and set our standards closer to what we can manage. The conflicts of persons and values confounds us. The speed of our culture threatens to outstrip our ability to change with the times. At such moments, we do well to center ourselves, to take our bearings undistracted by a racing world. We carry that still center within us always. We draw upon it when we must, and we must not forget that we have that within us. We gladly enter that still center that nothing can disturb. And so, while our minds are one for just this brief moment, I leave you with the eloquence of silence. And so it is. Boy, we need to be out there with them. All this sacred stuff. It's out there. That's where the sacred is. Well, we'll get out. I'll get you out. Well, you've heard me say it before. The greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it. My favorite philosopher, William James. And in that spirit, we'll collect this morning's offer.
Poets of the universe gathering on the shore, sifting through the tide line, a hope for something more. The sands of time are drifting through the marrow of our bones. People are awakening like restless rolling stones. The voice of superstition whispers in our ears. The mist above the waterfalls fills with lonely tears. And all the souls of yesterday are looking for a clue. Out beyond the solar flare may be something new. Behind that curtain, something more to see. A gentle tug of war between you and me. Gotta whisper. Restless words projecting make a haunting sound. Searching for an answer while we're seeking higher ground. Oh, 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 oh. And when I try to reach you, it seems you're never home. We can do together what we'll never do alone. Take away the conflict, we're not that far apart. Get behind the wheel now so you can do your part. Staring through the window, catch the morning sun. Forget about tomorrow, now has just begun. You think you found the answer, it is here and then it's gone. Go look for your reflection in the stillness of the pond. And while our backs are turned, we miss what's just ahead. The beauty that surrounds us turns to gray instead. Living in these lowlands, I'd like to stick around. If the water keeps on rising, we gotta move to higher ground. Oh, 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 yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your generosity. Please. All right, let's jump in. I know this principle is really difficult for some people, and that's okay. It's difficult for me too. The first of our 8 principles states that we, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant, there's that word, to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Now, our more orthodox brothers and sisters just say, you know, we're made in the image of God. And it sounds wonderful. I mean, I think it is wonderful. People have said to me that for them, this first principle is also the most difficult for them, especially where we've been headed for a while and with our new emperor in office. But we just don't want to blame that on him. So let's unpack the first principle for a moment to see what it is that we affirm. Let's look at the word covenant. The word means an agreement by lease or other legal contract. It's to promise by. The Torah, the Hebrew First Testament, defines it as an elected as opposed to natural relationship of obligation under oath. So all that means is that it's chosen. It is a chosen relationship. The word inherent has several phrases to define its meaning. Intrinsic, existing as an essential characteristic belonging to nature. Existing in something or someone as a permanent and inseparable element, quality, or attribute. And then there's the word worth. The quality that renders something or someone desirable, useful, valuable. And then there's dignity. Dignity means the quality or state of being worthy of esteem or respect. Poise and self-respect. I'm reminded of the words of Thomas Merton, who says that our job is to love people, but you know, we can at least try to, without worrying about whether they are worthy or not. That's not your or my concern. We don't get to decide that. Now, for me, some of these definitions are, of course, very subjective because, you know, who gets to decide who is worthy or valuable or desirable, etc.? But you get the gist of what's being said when the words are used. I would go so far as to say that this first principle is the very one that defines us as Unitarian Universalists. One does not have to be saved or agree with our outlook or philosophy of life to garner our respect and approval. It is already there because we are in existence. We are alive and sharing the planet together as flawed human beings who are fearfully and wonderfully made. And we're also sinners who judge other sinners for sinning differently. Dignity for me means to recognize, to acknowledge, to affirm that you are and I am somebody. We are in the world by way of a body. We are somebody. And this sense of somebodyness, if you will reflect our connectedness in how you and I interact and how people interact with us. Actually, it's more credible to say we choose to interact or relate to another. To be treated with dignity is the most basic of our human rights, for it's something that you don't have to earn. You don't have to study for. But yet in a utilitarian, xenophobic, hyper-color conscious culture such as ours, it's no small task to maintain a sense of this thing that you and I call dignity. To take what life has to offer, toe-to-toe, can sometimes appear to be just a trifle difficult. And it can be very difficult to maintain a sense of self after you've been knocked down a few times by life. There may be times when Maya Angelou's poem, "And Still I Rise," may seem a bit too unrealistic. Perhaps there are burdens that may be too heavy to bear. To live and to live well is serious business. I don't believe that God or the universe or what have you puts things on you that are that can never be too heavy to bear. I believe that there are some things that is just too difficult for a human being in a body to have to deal with. To live with a sense of humanity and authenticity and dignity can at times be scary as well as unrealistic. To attempt to live a life of authenticity, to try to be a better person today than you were yesterday, that is dignity. To walk with one's head up, not in a haughty way, not in an arrogant way, but in a way that says, I am somebody, and I have a right to be here. That is crucial. That is crucial. We want to give our children this sense of somebodyness. After all, Dr. King reminds us that we are not victims. He says, a man can't ride your back unless it's bent. You don't hear him. You don't hear that today. We hear I have a dream, and we have all the content of our character. But I kind of like that a person can't ride you unless you let them. We have to remember that. To affirm and to have dignity, we have to be reminded that other people have dignity as well, that they count, that I am and you are significant. Our contributions count. Why? Because I can only salute you in what I can salute in myself. That's what namaste means, right? The divinity, the humanness in me perceives, respects, and acknowledges what is human in you. I can't do that to you if I don't see it in myself. Who would argue that in our culture today, on the entire planet for that matter, that many people feel that they do not count? They are merely cogs in a wheel, in a machine. They're not fully appreciated. Life is simply a tale of sound and fury, signifying what? Nothing. What's the use? A common theme in all human rights movements is this notion of dignity. Ask any GBLTQ brother and sister about being treated or not with dignity in today's culture, and they will give you an earful. Touching our strength, the erotic is power and the love of God. Theologian Carter Haywood writes, she's a gay retired Episcopal priest. She says, coming out is a relational process associated with lesbian and gay men's public affirmation of themselves in relation to who? To others. This affirmation is powerful. This power is sacred because it is what? Shared power. It is transforming because it is creative. The power is liberating because it moves the struggle for justice. The power causes one to break out of isolation imposed by silence and invisibility. End quote. I would also add, as a straight man of color in this lifetime, that this power acknowledges the inherent worth and dignity of all sentient life. I would also add that this power is ultimately about love. It's about love. The emergence of the protest we just saw, hands off, or Occupy Wall Street, or Black Lives Matter, or the Standing Rock demonstrations, are concerned with enacting visions of human dignity. These protests have provided opportunities for us to renew our commitment to the common good and have invited us to learn from others and to transform suffering through collaboration. But it isn't easy. It isn't easy. In our market-driven culture, dignity is denigrated. We are nothing but consumers. We are told that we are things. We are consumers. People have become, for quite some time now, just commodities to be used and disregarded and disrespected and dismantled, to become mere merchandise. Things. Society's motto has become suspect your neighbor as yourself. The 11th commandment is thou shalt not get caught. Do unto others before they do unto you. America says that it adheres to the Judeo-Christian heritage, and in a way America is correct, but it's in an ironic sort of way, and the prophet does lead us. It's spelled P-R-O-F-I-T. And so we need to be reminded that you cannot say that you are a religious anything when you look at another human being as if they are a mere thing. I have the word horse there, but I didn't want you to get angry, and there's nothing wrong with being a horse. I respect the animal kingdom. The Jewish theologian Martin Buber spoke about an I-thou relationship. When he talks about that, he was simply noting that other human beings are extensions of ourselves. Not in any narcissistic sort of way, but other people are not objects just to be used and discarded. The concept of dignity is an extremely radical concept because it has a powerful, powerful spirit behind it that essentially says, don't write me off. Don't give up on me. Why? Because the contradictions of life are never final contradictions, right? This is what Howard Thurman reminded King, and King reminded us. Good Friday has to come before Easter. Philosopher Immanuel Kant talked about not dehumanizing other folks as a means to an end. Why? You got a lot of questions this morning. Because they are autonomous and have dreams and aspirations, just like you and I, which makes them precious. When was the last time you looked at a human being, not someone you loved or your grandchild, and said, this energy is precious? The 8th century Hebrew prophets knew this, which is why the governments and politicians of the time hated to see them coming. Here comes Ezekiel again. Here you go. And who's the other one? That Jesus person. And who, Abraham. They don't want to see you coming because they know what the critique is going to be. That there is a standard that we are supposed to live up to. Sojourner Truth, right? She says, ain't I a woman? Ain't I a woman? John Brown knew it, and he paid the ultimate price for it. You use Elizabeth Cady Stanton knew it. As did UU ministers William E. Channing and Theodore Parker. James Reed knew it. Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull knew it. And you and I know it. We know it. We may forget it. People working in sweatshops know it. All human rights groups know it. They know about dignity, living and dying with it. I remember when my father was dying, who died an agnostic. He kind of made that slide to atheist, to Gnosticism. Probably just wanted to make sure, in case he was wrong. But he mentioned, he said, son, I just make sure they let me die with some dignity. People in Harlem and Appalachia know about it. The Hebrew and African American slaves answered the prophet Jeremiah's query, is there no balm in Gilead? Is there nothing to soothe the pain that I have? And they all answered in the affirmative. They took that question mark, is there no balm in Gilead? And they made an exclamation point. And they said, yes, there is. There is a balm. Here's the balm right here in this church. I'm looking at the balm. We use as humanists, atheists, agnostics, and theists, as you Christians and God worshippers, earth-centered spiritualists, in a society where the assault on one's dignity can be relentless, we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. That is resistance. That is being resistant. And nobody takes that from you unless you give it to them. You give it to them. To possess inherent worth and dignity means that you have a right to be here, a place at the table. And there's nothing you need to do to earn it. You know, there's an old diplomatic kind of saying that if you're not at the table, that means you're probably on the menu. And then, you know, Sister Nina Simone comes along and she says, yes, Michael, but you've got to know when to leave the table, push away when love is no longer being served. So you just take your seat at the table and you just be. That's enough because you are enough. And when there's no love at the table, you just push away and you dab your mouth and you leave. So let's bring it down to basics for a moment, and then we'll bring it home and we'll get out of here. And don't forget to come for the, if you have time, for the UU 101 class. The great mystic and theologian Howard Thurman, Dr. King's mentor, talked about, and I love this about him, brilliant man, deeply, he's a mystic. And he talked about his struggle with learning acceptance and love for other human beings. I can definitely relate to that. And I was listening to a tape of one of his sermons, and he was very candid that he had to work on his spiritual arrogance. He didn't have patience for folks who were just not getting it. What is there to see? I'm not a mule. I'm a human being. Let's treat each other. But, it was tough. And he said, I had to admit to myself at that time in my life that there were some people who I simply didn't want to love. I don't want to love them. He didn't judge himself. Nobody's judging. There's no God judge. But he had to admit that. There's just some people that at this time on my journey, I don't want to love them. He said that at the time, he was not spiritually mature enough in his life to be able to love like he wanted to. And he said that my constant prayer was that not to love, simply to be willing to love. That's all. That's a start. Not that I can love. I'm just praying to be willing to love. He didn't have the depth, but he prayed at least to be willing to love. Perhaps this is what you and I need to meditate and pray on. For our own goodwill and acceptance for others, let us at least be willing to be willing We live in a moment unprecedented in human history. At least this is what I believe. And why is it different? It's another question. Thank you. Because in the words of the late great Indian sage J. Krishnamurti, we are dealing not only with economics, but ideas. We are quarreling about ideas. Ideas that justify murder. That justify murder. Everywhere in the world, he says, we are justifying murder as a means to righteous ends. And he's been dead a long time, so this is nothing new. Krishnamurti wrote a wonderful book back in 1954. I commend it to you. The First and Last Freedom. It's a classic. You can get it on Amazon for $2. Now, he's certainly not the first person to talk about this, but I like the way he frames it. Justifying murder as a means to a righteous to a righteous end is unprecedented in human history. Yeah, we murder, but and then on some level, man, we shouldn't have done that, but there was gold there, and I like that oil over there, and I was angry. But now our leaders are saying we can justify this. There was a time when murder was seen for what it was, but now murder is seen as a means to achieve a noble result. And this includes the attempted murder of the human spirit. Now, I don't think you can murder the human spirit, but people try. When they try and take away your hope, when they keep their boot on your neck, what Orwell was saying, he envisioned the future, pessimistic, but what was his vision of the future? A boot on someone's face. Not uplifting, is it? Murder is accepted as righteous because we are being told by our leaders that this murder will somehow benefit you and I. We sacrifice the present of the future. I remember when, I knew we did regime change. I'm not a stupid man. I knew we were behind people's assassinations and whatever. How do you become a superpower? By keeping other people from becoming a superpower. It's a dirty business. But now they just tell you, we had to kill Bin Laden, We went in the cave and we found him, and it's all good because we're right. They talk about we need to take a regime change. I mean, that's just a euphemism. We need to kill you to take over your government so you can behave in the way we think. And we think it's normal. It's like jumbo shrimp. We know it's no such thing. It's like peacekeeping missiles. Missiles don't keep peace, but we hear it so often that we don't even question it. Yeah. Keep those missiles over there. Keep those Russians over there. It's upside down thinking. King puts it this way: the ways in which we live have outdistanced the means for which we live. This is the great problem facing human beings today. The implication is that wrong means will produce a right end, and you justify the means through ideation. And that ideation has led to the exploitation of other human beings. This is extremely dangerous. We have really learned the power of propaganda and alternative facts and fake news. And to use these ideas as a tool of transformation of human beings is really dangerous. Human beings are not important, but systems and ideas have become important. As long as the result is justified by ideas, we can destroy them. These people are talking about limited nuclear exchanges. We don't have to talk about nuclear winter. You think climate change is a problem, but what kind of mind thinks that it's just a limited strike? War is not a means to peace. There's no such things as I said, peacekeeping missiles, jumbo shrimp. Yet war is intellectually justified as means of bringing peace. The other danger Krishnamurti talks about is the extraordinary importance that we give to property, the pleasures of the senses, to nationalism, to religion, to social classes. We are closer to a nuclear midnight than we have ever been before in my lifetime, except the Cuban Missile Crisis, and I didn't realize that until I was an adult. Every political and economic decision is pushing us closer to an abyss. It is unprecedented, and it requires unprecedented action. we're still in the fight. We're still in this fight. You have to ask, is it a private fight or can anybody get in it? It must take place now and not tomorrow. And you choose the way you want to resist it. I have a buddy of mine up in Michigan, and some friends are giving him grief because he's not out marching with them. He's doing things in other ways. So don't let people bully you into that. It's personal, however you want to do it. Some write a check, some do this, some do that, whatever it is. There are many ways to resist, but it's taking place. And so we ask, is it possible to change? Yes. But it's getting late. We can't keep the porch light on all night. The transformation comes into being only when you and I, as individuals, begin to be aware of ourselves and who we are in our thoughts, in our words, and in our deeds. The inauguration of our new emperor is straining each of these beliefs to the limit, but you can't give away your power like that. We are living in a turbulent time when it will be difficult to live these 8 principles as a regimen of resilience, a means of maintaining inner balance against the shock waves, this blitzkrieg that's coming. But we've weathered it. We've weathered it. And now it's what else you got? Is that all you got? Because we'll be standing. We'll still be standing. We will need to continue to join with other progressive leaders, other faith traditions to share our convictions and advocate on behalf of human decency, and yet we must call on, in unison, a policy of global generosity instead of militarism, and we have to protect the vulnerable. To advance social and racial justice, we can do that. And so this morning, whatever you believe, God, non-God, I don't care, I don't know, it doesn't matter to me what you believe really. I know what you believe by the way you treat people. I know what you believe by the way you treat me. And you know it from me as well. Whatever or whoever you believe in may lift you from limitation, and may you remember who you are. I honor and respect your and my right and your dignity. And I respect everybody's right to be here. I do. I may not like it, but I have to respect it. The story goes that at one time someone asked the Hindu sage Ramana Maharishi, how should we treat others? His response was, there are no others. This is the creed of our denomination, and long may it be so. Amen and amen. Please rise as you are willing and able. And one of my favorite hymns, number 144. Now is the time approaching.
After the hymn, please have a seat again so we can hear Bill's last song at the end of the service.
Amen and amen. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get set up for the class. Bill?
Yes.
Can you show him some love? Can I show some love? Give yourself some love. May the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, and which puts to flight all of our fears, which reconciles all who are separated, may that love be in us and among us, at least until we meet again. Have a wonderful afternoon.
I'm glad you're sitting down because the title of the song requires that you stay here, don't walk away. When you went to school and heard the golden rule, do unto others the same. Right from the start, you followed your heart on the highway of pleasure and pain. Don't walk away, trust in the day. There is something inside you and it will not go away. Tell me no lies when you look in my eyes. Let's keep that sacred, let's keep it a surprise. A surprise, yeah, yeah, yeah. When you're out on the road, feeling the load, and your faith starts to wobble and weave around the next bend, you don't know just when. There is something you've been hoping to see. Don't turn away, live for this day. There's a rhyme for every reason and a price that we pay. Open the door, there's so much more. Room for how you're growing, always room for more. Room for more. When you walk with the Lord and your feet start to get sore, there's a song you can sing as you go. It won't take long if you sing along, and you sing it kinda sweet and low. Don't walk away, you know the way. A light shines inside you and it will not go away. Trust what you feel, that's how you make it real. Your heart is the keystone, your will is the wheel. It's the wheel, yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you very much.